Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Intuitive Energy Forecast for February 7th, 2022. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Arlene Grace, an intuitive energy coach, channel, and mentor. I hope that everyone had the most extraordinary weekend. So when I feel into today's energy, today is the energy of the 6 and the 5 of spades. So the 6 is really about finding harmony within life. When we can see that life is heightened in this place of duality or polarity, where we can take it back to what's happening in the world, that all of this information is coming out and we've got a lot of control, a lot of manipulation with all of this information that's arising up. And we have these others on this other side, right? So if we were to say one is government, we have the other, the people, right? The people that are out there, in peace, in freedom, in love, in unity. We have this beautiful landscape, this beautiful canvas, we'll say. And of course, there's this duality, and there are many that are intermingled in between that are playing, right? And so it's really coming into this place of channeling love, channeling unity, channeling peace, and finding that space in between and where you fit in it. Right? Are you in a place where you are willing to act on behalf of what it is that you desire? Are you willing to act on behalf of love for you? Is it that you do you know who you are, and do you know what you want, and do you know what you want to experience in this world? What experiences are you wanting to experience, right? And with that, we have the 5 of spades. Now, the 5 of spades is really about, for me, it feels like information. Information is arising. There is these beautiful truths that are just rising up. It's like the vision that I get is, oh man, what is this? Like a swamp with these big mud bubbles of air just popping up and allowing it to be seen, right? Allowing the information to just pop, and then it spreads out through the beautiful internet, through the news, through all of these things. And there's more, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. And as this information comes up, how are you feeling with it? You can see that there are many people out there in the world that are just sharing information. They're just sharing the info. And so as they're sharing the info, how are you receiving it? Are you seeing them as a disruptor? Are you yourself being disrupted by this information? What is it inspiring within you? And so as I was feeling into the energy, it took me back to this story. And I know that I've shared this story before, but it's showing me it in a different way. And so at 26, I was told I couldn't have children, right? And I moved through the grieving process and through the anger and the stuff and all of those things. And I remember very shortly thereafter, I got pregnant, right? When I gave up on the trying, it just happened. And I became pregnant with someone who I wouldn't choose to have as my partner. He wasn't my ideal partner. And I remember that I would share this, I would share that I was pregnant. Oh my God, remember when I told you I couldn't be pregnant? And hey, guess what? I am, but I'm not getting married. Gonna have a baby, but I'm not gonna get married. Now, remember, this was back in the day where, getting married, pregnant and married, it was usually married, then pregnant. And so I remember sharing this with my parents. And the main character in this is my mom, right? Because I shared it with my mom, and I shared it the exact same way. Hey, remember when I told you I couldn't have babies? Well, guess what I am? Of course, I'm streaming tears, and I'm not getting married. And she started crying. And that was my thing with my mom. Like, she would cry, and it was like, I would melt. and I would do what she said, right? That I was disrupting her with my information, and I was causing her to cry. And it was my fault that she was crying. And she was like, well, people, what are people going to say? What are they going to say about us? What are they going to say about you? What are they, people are going to shame you. People are going to do this. And so, no, you're getting married. And I was like, well, no, I want to give the father, I want to give the father, I want to see what he's like as a dad. I want to see the responsibility before I go into a bond, before I sign a contract, right? And that's what I wanted. I wanted that. I wanted to, yes, have the baby, but I knew that I did not want to get married. I knew that I didn't want to have this contract. I didn't want to vow to another person because he was not my person. And yet there was this, well, what are people going to think? You need to go and do that. Like, what about the baby? What about this? What about that? What about all of those things? And that's the five of spades. It's all of this information, right? Well, what about this? They're going to judge you. Well, what about this? You're going to feel shame. Well, what about this? What are they going to think about us? Well, what about this? What about the baby? What's she going to think? Well, how are you going to raise this baby on your own? Well, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. All of this information. But at that time, I connected all of that information with my emotion, with feeling shameful, with this fear of being judged, with this fear of how this was going to create waves for my parents. And so in that one conversation, I decided not to trust this. I decided not to act on behalf of it. I decided not to be the main character in my life. I decided to be an actor in theirs. Right. And I decided to allow for them to be the main character in my life. And so just notice that. With all of this information that's rising up, and it may not necessarily just be what's happening in the world, right? Because when we can look at the world and we look at it through that lens, this really is the mirror of our parents. This is the mirror of, my parents, and this is for all of us. Our parents told us who we were. They told us how to be. They showed us what love was. They showed us what it was to be with money, how to feel about money, how to understand money. And this is all from 0 to 7, right? Where we are really just taking in, we're sponges. We're taking in all of this information. And part of that information is they were telling us who we were. And we just simply received. And they're telling us who we were was based on how they felt about themselves. Right. And so if that is the case for everyone here, because that's how conditioning and programming works, we have all of these neural networks within our own brain that are now being triggered, because it may not necessarily be our parent that is triggering us in this moment. But when you look at what's happening in the world, the government themselves, they are the ones that are now telling us what to do. They're the ones that we've decided to put on this pedestal to tell us what to do, to tell us how to act, to tell us how to behave, to control us. And so as you start to see that, when you look at your leaders, who are they? Are they playing the role of a parent? And so with that, are you willing to be the actor in your life? Are you willing to be the main character? Are you willing to fall in love with you as the main character and act on behalf of that? And to trust whatever it is that you're wanting to experience, that you move forward with that, regardless of these ripples that you think it may create. Many of us fear being disruptive, and that's the 6, right? That's a 6 energy. Many of us don't want to create those waves. Many of us fear expressing ourselves, saying the things, because we don't want to create waves there. But here's the thing. The waves that we create for others are none of our business. that they're going to receive the information regardless based on their own perception, but based on their own lens, based on how they have experienced their lives. What are there? 8 billion people? 8 billion people that could go and watch the same movie. You can all go watch Home Alone or something. And all of us would have our own take on what happened. All of us would have our own focus on what happened. All of us would have our own emotional responses to what happened. Some people might feel abandoned. People might feel separated. Some people might get angry. Some people might feel fun. Some people might feel the adventure. Some others might be pissed off and scared. And so take that with you. Focus on you. You first, then others. Right? And ask yourself, am I willing to be the main character in my life? And where in my life am I an actor in someone else's? Beautiful. Questions, comments, please feel free to share and I will be happy to respond. Happy Monday. Wishing you the most extraordinary day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now. Much love.